Hello, welcome to your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolese. Excited to grace your screens once again. This is where I say welcome to the month of November. I hope that this month brings you good tidings. Talking about good tidings, we had a feast of sporting activities across the weekend, from football to tennis, where Yannick Sinner is back to the summit of the tennis ranking. We have a lot in store for you: analysis, information, education, and a bit of entertainment. Don't forget how we wrap up the show. We'll give you the very best of tips on the Tipsters Corner. So it's a one-stop shop for you when you're looking for the best of sporting information and excitement. Let's go on a short break. When we return, I'll be doing this in company of my homeboy, Bankole Oladuni. Welcome back. This is your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. Edwin in the building alongside my homeboy, Bankole Oladuni. Banky, welcome. How you doing?
Edwin, it's good to be here once again.
Yeah.
After a splendid weekend.
Yeah.
Milan,
I know.
securing or proving their credentials when it comes to title contention.
Thanks to Mike Mayan, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been a very long time since he has, saved the penalty.
Yeah.
A lot of fans have been, on his neck about how he has lost his ability, to save penalties.
I think that was his third penalty save in 17
yes,
attempts.
and it was the first time Paulo Dybala would also be losing a penalty in 18 attempts. So
wow.
you can say it was much more of a magic mic, than it usually is. But yeah, it's good to be here once again to talk about everything sports, from football to tennis and to Formula One and the likes.
All right, since we started with Milan, how about we delve straight into the Italian Seria-A? And it was a weekend where Milan got all 3 points. Inter Milan had to do it the hard way. The final minutes of that action against Verona got all 3 points. Napoli dropped points at home to Como. Their goalkeeper also saving a spot kick. In fact, I think he has the best
he has saved penalties in consecutive games
ratios in the Italian Serie-A.
In Europe, actually.
In Europe, all right, great one. What was your general overview of the Italian Serie-A this weekend?
Well, it was a weekend that proved that it was still going to be as competitive as it has always been.
Yeah.
You look at Napoli and the game against Como. Como also a team that on the upward trajectory, although I have my own personal feelings about says Fabregas and Como. Yeah. But you can look at how they've made things difficult, for a couple of teams. They defeated Juventus, earlier this season. Juventus, who, by the way, started, on a flying note under Luciano Spalletti. But for Napoli, I don't think they will sweat too much about it. There's still a whole host of games to play, especially when you now look at how other teams are playing. The Milan of this world, the Inter Milans of this world, the Romas of this world. These are teams who would be in contention for the scudetto alongside Napoli. I don't think they would scare Napoli too much, especially at this time of the season. But yeah, the problem with Napoli is they are struggling to create chances to score. They are struggling, to put the ball in the back of the nets, and it's understandable. You have injuries to Kevin De Bruyne, you have injuries, to Rasmus Højlund and Lukaku. Maybe at the turn of the year when you have these guys back, you might see a different Napoli team. But for now, I think Conte will be trying to just limp. For Milan, it was an important 3 points. You look at how Roma dominated the first couple of minutes. It felt like it was going to be a slaughter.
One of those nights.
Yeah, the San Siro. But unluckily for Roma, they couldn't get the ball into the back of the net. And for a team that I've always considered very lucky all through the season, you look at their performances, you look at the chances they've conceded. I've always felt they've struggled, but they are quite lucky to have 18 points. But for Milan, you could clearly see this was a team that is defensively disciplined. A team that knows what they are doing at the back. The same formation from last season, but Max Allegri has clearly imputed a lot of things into this team. And I keep talking about the intangibles. something like willpower. Discipline. Wanting to work. And you can clearly see it. Exactly, you can clearly see it. In that Milan team. Even a young player like Batesegui. Going toe to toe with the likes of Dybala, with the likes of Leon Bailey, and not looking out of place, especially after the first 40 minutes. So I think it's going to be an interesting scudetto race again. Not to forget, Atalanta also dropped points. Ivan Juric has not exactly started the season well. Ademola Lookman
finally lost
for the first time in this season, and I think it's the most unconvincing unbeaten run any team can ever go on. But Ademola Lookman has been integrated back into the team, and you can clearly see his difference in terms of the quality he's bringing into the team. So it is shaping up to be one of the most exciting, league again this season in Europe. All
right, from the Italian Serie-A, let's head straight to England, where a certain team got their first league win in 5 attempts. That's Liverpool. It was a potential banana skin against Aston Villa, but they got the job done.
Yeah, and it was quite surprising to see what Unai Emery was doing. You have seen Liverpool struggle to deal with long balls.
Yeah.
You've seen Arne Slot come out to talk about how his team is struggling to deal with long balls, and you show up on the day, and what do? You
played into Liverpool.
You start building out from the back. You start playing into their midfield, and you do that against Liverpool, especially with their attack. Yes, you can talk about Mo Salah's form, you can talk about Isak and the likes, but they still have quality players. Dominic Szoboszlai, I've always believed he has been their best player from the start of the season, even from the second half of last season. I've always felt he was one of their most important players alongside Mo Salah and Gravenberch, and you can clearly see his input on that team. Yes, he didn't get on the score sheet, but you can see how he affected things on both ends of the pitch, on the offensive side and also on the defensive side. And Mo Salah, a very important goal for him. 250 goals for Liverpool. You can see how his improvements over the years, the fact that he has become some sort of a finisher in that Liverpool team has helped Liverpool to 2 Premier League titles and the Champions League, and also a Champions League final appearance. So I think this is a team that gradually will start to work their way back into the title race. Gradually, maybe if they can, or if there's still a title race by the time they get their acts together. But I still think they'll come good this season.
This weekend they face Manchester City, who got all 3 points against Bournemouth. Another tricky tie for them. Erling Haaland with his 12th and 13th league goal. It sets up a perfect match for neutrals. Liverpool versus Manchester City, or Manchester City versus Liverpool, because the game is going down at the Etihad. What should fans look forward to?
Yeah, we've always talked about how City are relying on Haaland for goals, but it's also very important to note that Haaland is scoring goals. And if you have a player like that scoring goals, it is normal to rely on him. And you look at Liverpool's defense, you look at how they've struggled with physicality. You also look at how Pep, to a certain extent, have started tweaking his teams to going long. You can see the creativity that Rancherki has brought in. 2 assists to Haaland. It seems to be a sense of understanding brewing between those two. But I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think Man City are gradually trying to work their way back into title race. They are trying to work their way back into that team that we know them to be after the slump that they suffered last season. But I think it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I struggle to see how both teams can come out with 3 points. The game screams of a draw, a very entertaining draw. But but I still think City would fancy their chances against this current iteration of Liverpool.
For us now, it feels like they are the runaway leaders at this moment. They take on Sunderland this weekend. You expect them to get the job done against Sunderland. If you're Mikel Arteta, who would you prefer draw points this weekend, Liverpool or Manchester City? I
think if I were Mikel Arteta, I would prioritize me picking up points, because you've seen these 2 teams knock them out of title race. You've seen these 2 teams, they've lost the championship to these 2 teams. Both Liverpool and Man City. Even when they had the advantage, they still went on to lose it. So you don't want any of these guys, chasing you with little advantage. So I think Arteta would prioritize trying to beat Sunderland, trying to beat the next 3 games, which are London derbies, by the way, instead of looking back and hoping Liverpool or Man City drop points. There's still a certain case of Chelsea, who might also find their way back into title contention. But I think for Mikel Arteta, his whole priority will be trying to improve his team, trying to get them to start scoring goals with more efficiency than they are. I think there's a certain reliance on corner kicks and set pieces, which I don't think is a problem. I think the entire league is relying on set pieces, but Arsenal are doing it at an elite level, a level that is above every other person. But with that being said, if you want to be champions, you also have to be able to play with different versions. You also have to be able to put different things on the table. You also have to have different weapons in terms of scoring goals. Yes, the defense is the best in the league, but you look at Gyökeres, I don't think he has convinced. I'm also not convinced with AZ at number 10 position. Maybe if the injured guys also come back into it, we might see a different type of Arsenal. But for now, Arteta would be trying to consolidate his position on top of the table.
Away from Man City, Liverpool, there's another big one going down in North London. It is Tottenham versus Manchester United. For Tottenham Hotspur, they've lost to Chelsea 5 consecutive times in the league in the last couple of years. You look at their home form, it pales in comparison to their away form. Their away form, they have picked about 13 points on the road. That's number 1 on the form table. They've scored the most goals away from home. You look at their home form, they are bottom 5 in terms of point pick, bottom 5 in terms of goals scored. against Manchester United, who are on a 4-game unbeaten run. How do you see this playing out, Bankole?
Yeah, Tottenham are a team who are struggling, when the impetus is on them to attack. You look at their creative players, Xavi Simons, they have struggled to settle in. You've seen other bets, Matistel, Kolumwani. These are guys who are not exactly stellar, in front of goal, not exactly stellar when it comes to producing, individual brilliance. And away from home against at home, against a Manchester United team who are very comfortable with sitting back, who are very comfortable with defending and hitting you on the break. We saw the game against Liverpool. They have the quality, in Mbeumo and Matthias Cunha, to hit you on the counter attack. And yeah, it's going to be difficult for Spurs. I also think Thomas Frank is struggling, to adapt to playing or to adapt to coaching, at a team that is expected to attack, at a team that is not going into every game as an underdog. At Brentford, it was easy for him to defend. It was easy for him to sit back, regardless home or away. There were zero expectations or minimal expectations, on him, to go at the opponent, on him to play a certain brand of football. But as Spurs, he has to play a certain brand of football, and I think that is affecting him. He's struggling, to balance between winning and also being aesthetically pleasing. So I think Manchester United can take advantage of that terrible home form and maybe get a point or 3 points, as the new White Hart Lane.
All right, a lot of games to look forward to this weekend. Plethora of games from the Spanish La Liga to the Italian Seria-A, the English Premier League, the German Bundesliga, and the French Ligue 1. At this point, we're going on a short break. When we return, there's more on the other side. Sports Pizza, don't go nowhere. Welcome to the second half of the show. Edwin and Bankole still in the building. Bankole, let's head straight to the Super Eagles of Nigeria, where they take on Gabon in the World Cup qualifier. The game is coming up in a fortnight or thereabouts, and they will file out in Morocco. For the Gabonese, they've released their 25-man squad. We are yet to release, as you know, how we do our own stuff right here. But how positive are you looking forward to the games?
Well, for Gabon releasing their team early, I'm not panicking. We have a larger pool of players to pick from, so it's normal, for it to take longer. But yeah, for the match itself, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced the Super Eagles. Maybe we can beat Gabon, but I'm not convinced we can go on to beat either of DRC or Cameroon. If we scale that one, I'm also not too sure, about the intercontinental playoff.
I think the intercontinental playoff is, in my opinion, is a bit fair.
I don't think so. We lost to Benin Republic. There is nothing fair for the Super Eagles.
Yeah, but again, when we needed to step up, we stepped up, and I think we will.
I don't.
Our problem has always been complacency.
Our problem has always been. Throughout these qualifiers, it has been quality. I don't think it's complacency. It has always been quality.
Complacency.
I think it's quality.
When we needed to step up against Benin Republic, we got the results. When we needed to get, we didn't get all 3 points against South Africa, but we needed something in South Africa, and we got it.
I don't fully think there is complacency. I think we just are not good enough. It is an unpopular. Look, because Edwin, you keep talking about Benin Republic, you keep talking about South Africa. Our players are players from Europe, and the South African players are home-based players.
Again, like I said,
so if we step up, Edwin, we keep using if. Look, see, once you start using if to qualify certain.
You know why I use if?
Then there's a problem.
You know why I use if? Because when we step up, when we play at our best.
How many times? How many times have we played at our best?
This team just got to the final of the AFCON.
How many times have we played at our best?
This team just got to the final.
And since then, what have we done? You've lost to Zimbabwe. Hence, you've lost to
my use of complacency.
To Lesotho.
Hence my use of
complacency. You've lost to the Benin Republic. So what are we? Look, Edwin, I'm not sure.
All right,
this is not me pulling out things out of Team A. It is the precedence that has been set by the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Can they go on a winning streak for 3 games? Have they done it? When was the last time they did it? It has been almost forever. So I'm not. Yes, we can go on and they can come here and disappoint me and make sure my analysis is rubbish. That is exactly what I hope for. But I'm not getting my hopes high for the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
All right, we're looking forward to that one. Super Eagles of Nigeria will be in Morocco. It's just a mini tournament for who will pick that playoff ticket to represent Africa in the intercontinental phase. Just imagine we had to just go through South Africa and Benin, but just beat them. We won't have this.
We had out of all the top teams.
We had the easiest group. Yeah, we had the easiest group. It is what it is. Talking about having it easy For Yannick Sinner, he seems to be the man on form right now. He's back world number 1, defeated Felix Auger-Aliassime in the Paris 1000 Masters final in straight sets. 20-plus winning streak for the Italian. And you get a feeling that he's going to take some stopping in 2026.
Yeah, and he's also a Milan fan, by the way. So, for Yannick Sinner, nah. There's no evidence that can prove that.
Are you serious?
It was not the doping that gave him a sporting advantage. For Yannick Sinner, it's quite clear that he's one of the best players on the circuit. Him alongside Alcaraz, and when he's playing at his best, which is almost every time, unlike the last thing we talked about, he's unstoppable. You look at how he dispatched Zverev in the semi-finals, he dispatched Felix, in the finals. He doesn't break a sweat, and I think this is the first time someone has won the Paris Open Masters without dropping a set. And it's incredible how many times he has done that. How many ATP titles that he has won without dropping a set. Even in Grand Slams, he only drops a set whenever he's playing against a Carlos Alcaraz. And for him alongside Alcaraz, they are going to define the next decade of the ATP circuit. And for the WTA, maybe not so much, but for the ATP, it's quite clear that there is an hierarchy, and it's Yannick Sinner, Alcaraz, and the rest.
It's time for our start bench drop, and today we're going with the right back edition at their best. Start bench drop. Achraf Hakimi, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Reece James.
You're smiling because you know my opinion.
I don't know your opinion.
For Reece James, I think he's the best.
Really?
Yes.
Better than Hakimi?
Yes.
I disagree, but hey,
I think there is absolutely nothing Hakimi can do that Reece James cannot do, both offensively and defensively.
Hakimi is a better finisher.
I don't think so.
He is.
I don't think so.
The numbers suggest that.
Yes, the numbers suggest that because he's playing in a team where the system allows him to be in a position to finish balls. When Reece James was playing under a Thomas Tuchel, he was scoring goals.
How many?
He was scoring goals.
How many?
He was scoring. Edwin.
Now,
James,
remember you said you don't want to put things out of thin air.
No, I'm not pulling things out of thin air.
How many
The season after they won the Champions League, he was on the verge of doing double figures in goals up until he picked an injury. He already had about 6 goals in the Premier League. He had a brace against Newcastle, had a couple of goals against Bournemouth. I remember, this is Reece James at his best.
That's just once.
Come on.
No,
the Super for Reece James is a case of injury. It's a case of fitness. But you said at his best. You said at his best.
At his best.
So at his best, I think there is nothing Hakimi, Trent would offer offensively that Reece James will not give, and he's ultimately a better defender.
I expect a lot of backlash for you.
So I'm sure. Reece James is the ultimate fullback for me. Okay. Then I will bench Hakimi. I also think Hakimi is also, the type of fullback you want in your team. Offensively, defensively, even the modern day football inverting from the fullbacks. You see Hakimi, do that. Also, he has different range of passing, different range of crossing. And like I said, defensively also, Hakimi is also going to help your backline, and I will be selling Trent.
Okay. All right. What do you think, guys? Let us know on our social media platform. It is @SportsPizza. Let's go on a break. We'll give you a video for the week. When we return, wrap up the show with the Tipsters Corner. Welcome back. I'm sure you enjoyed that video. It's time for our Tipsters Corner, and we have 2 games from the English Premier League at the Tottenham Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur host 20-time league champions Manchester United, while defending champions Liverpool away at the Etihad against Manchester City. I don't know why you're laughing, Mark.
You know why I'm laughing.
I don't know why. 20-time champion Manchester United.
Yeah, okay.
What do you think will happen?
For Spurs against United, we talk about Spurs' abysmal home form. I think we can go for a home team to win 2-0. I don't think Spurs will be winning and keeping a clean sheet.
Okay.
I think United would be scoring a goal. You look at United also. You can carry United to score. You can also carry any team to score 3 goals in a row. No.
Yeah.
You can also go with corners. In this game,
Corner
you can go with over 7.5, over 8.5 corners. In this particular encounter, I think those are game, those are values, you know, that can be added to your ACA, if that's what you want to do. For Liverpool against Manchester City, I think we'll see goals in this game.
Okay.
You can also be bold enough and go for, maybe not, it won't be considered bold if you go for an Haaland to score. But yeah, I think City would score. I think you can go for a City over 1.5. You can go for both teams to score. You can go for over 2.5. You can also go for a first half 0.5. I think these are things that you can also, you know, that can be added, you know, to your ACA to you know, get immense value for the weekend.
There you have it. Remember to always bet responsibly, and Sports Pizza is not responsible for any bet loss. We just give you expert opinions on the likely outcomes of these games. This is where we drop anchor on today's show. I'm sure you've had so much fun with us. We'll do this same time next week. Bankole, always a pleasure having you in the studio.
Yeah, it's always good to be here, Edwin. With your 20-time Premier League champion.
Yeah,
but from me to our audience, have yourself a lovely, lovely weekend.
From me, Edwin Onyebole said, we have a sporting week. God bless you.